The Vrax Dominion had studied Earth for decades. Their scientific branch had cataloged thousands of specimens, careful to remain undetected by the primitive inhabitants of the Blue Planet. The Vrax considered themselves enlightened, masters of technology and science who had brought peace to 12 star systems through their superior guidance. Commander Drek stood on the observation deck of the research vessel Eternal Knowledge, his 4 eyes scanning the night-darkened continent below. North America, the humans called it. Their latest subject of interest resided in a small town called Pine Ridge. The extraction team has secured the subject, Lieutenant Moore reported, her scales shifting to a satisfied purple hue. He appears to be a perfect specimen for our research. Drek nodded. Age and occupation: 32 Earth years. Name: Thomas Reed. Occupation: teacher of young humans. Unremarkable by their standards, but his neural patterns show fascinating adaptability. The abduction went flawlessly, as all Vrax operations did. Their stealth technology rendered their shuttle invisible to Earth's crude detection systems. Thomas Reed was sedated and transported to the research vessel without incident. What the Vrax couldn't know was that Thomas Reed wasn't entirely unremarkable. He had a wife, Kate, who worked for a classified division of Earth's Space Defense Initiative. He had a brother, Jack, who commanded an experimental vessel in Earth's small but growing interstellar fleet, and he had been wearing a prototype tracking device Kate had designed, one that operated on principles the Vrax scanners hadn't detected. 3 days after Thomas disappeared, Kate sat in General William Harper's office, her eyes red but her voice steady. "It wasn't a kidnapping, sir. The data from Tom's tracker shows he left Earth's atmosphere." The general's weathered face remained impassive. "You're suggesting alien abduction, Dr. Reed. I'm stating it as fact, and I know exactly where they took him." She slid a datapad across his desk. "These are coordinates, approximately 4.2 light-years from Earth." Harper studied the information. "Even if you're right, our fastest ships would take. The Horizon could reach it in 10 days using the experimental drive my team developed." "That's Jack Reed's ship." "Yes, Tom's brother." "Convenient, isn't it?" Her eyes hardened. "I'm going with them." Harper sighed. "This isn't sanctioned. If I approve this mission—" "They took an American citizen, sir, a civilian, my husband. We don't know who they are or their capabilities." Kate's voice dropped to a whisper. "We need to find out, don't we? Before they come for more of us." Across the galaxy, Thomas Reed awoke in a sterile chamber. His mind felt foggy, his limbs heavy. Strange beings with scaled skin and multiple eyes observed him through a transparent barrier. "Subject is conscious," one said in perfect English. "Begin cognitive assessment." Thomas struggled against his restraints. "Who are you? What do you want?" "We are researchers," the alien replied. "Your species shows remarkable potential. We merely wish to understand you better." "By kidnapping me?" Thomas pulled harder, feeling the restraints cut into his wrists. "A temporary inconvenience. Your participation will benefit galactic science." What the Vrax researchers couldn't understand was the peculiar human response to captivity, the desperate, irrational drive for freedom that defied logical analysis. They had studied humans from afar, but had never experienced the ferocity of human resistance firsthand. And they certainly hadn't anticipated the response from Earth when one of their own disappeared. Aboard the Horizon, Captain Jack Reed addressed his small crew and one civilian passenger. "Our mission is unprecedented," he said grimly. "We're about to make first contact with an alien species that has taken one of our own. Command has authorized us to retrieve Thomas Reed by any means necessary." Kate clutched the small pendant around her neck, the matching half to Tom's wedding gift. Inside was the true tracker, more advanced than the Vrax could imagine. "We're coming, Tom," she whispered. "Just hold on." The Vrax had encountered many species in their long history of galactic exploration. Most were primitive, some were dangerous, but none had ever pursued them across the stars to recover a single specimen. The concept would have seemed absurd to Commander Drek, if Lieutenant Moore hadn't interrupted his rest cycle with the alarming news. "An unidentified vessel has entered our space," she reported, her scales shifting to an anxious yellow. "It appears to be from Earth." Drek's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession. "Impossible. Their propulsion technology is centuries behind ours." "Nevertheless, the vessel has breached our outer sensor network. Its trajectory suggests it's heading directly for the eternal knowledge." This was unprecedented. The Vrak's Dominion had strict protocols for first contact scenarios, none of which involved primitive species tracking them to their research facilities. "Maintain distance and observe," Drek ordered. "Increase security around the human subject." Inside the research facility, Thomas Reed had spent days enduring countless tests. The Vraks were not deliberately cruel, but their clinical detachment felt more dehumanizing than outright hostility. They tested his physical capabilities, his cognitive functions, his emotional responses. They seemed particularly fascinated by his capacity for forming bonds with others. "You speak of your mate with unusual attachment," noted the lead researcher, a Vrax named Till. "This love concept, it seems inefficient." Thomas stared defiantly at his captor. "It's what makes us human. Yet it clearly causes distress when bonds are severed. That's the point. What matters most is worth suffering for." Till made notes on his datapad. Fascinating irrationality. Thomas had lost track of time, but he hadn't lost hope. Each night, he clutched the wedding pendant Kate had given him, drawing strength from the memory of her promise. "No matter what happens, I'll always find you." Aboard the Horizon, Earth's most advanced starship pushed its experimental drive to the limits. Captain Jack Reed had assembled a small but elite team. Lieutenant Maria Diaz, security specialist; Dr. Alan Foster, xenobiologist; Commander Way, tactical officer; and Kate Reed, whose determination burned brighter than any star they passed. "We're entering their territory," Jack announced. "Sensors detect multiple vessels in the vicinity, but only one matches the energy signature Kate's tracker is following." "That's where they're keeping him," Kate said, studying the holographic display of the alien ship. "It's massive, at least 3 times larger than the Horizon, and likely better armed," Commander Way added grimly. "Direct confrontation would be suicide." Lieutenant Diaz nodded. "We need a covered approach. Get in, extract Thomas. Get out." "They'll detect us long before we can dock," Jack said. Kate smiled thinly. "Not if we use the stealth module I designed. It won't make us invisible, but it will disguise our energy signature to look like space debris." Dr. Foster looked up from his console. "Even if we board them successfully, we have no idea what these beings look like or how their ship is configured." "Tom's tracker gives us his exact location," Kate replied. "And I've been studying the ship's layout from our long-range scans. There appear to be regular transport shuttle docks here." She pointed to a section of the alien vessel, which would give us access to their internal transportation network. Jack nodded. "It's risky, but we're not leaving without Thomas." He turned to his crew. "Prepare for stealth approach. Combat gear, non-lethal weapons only. We are not starting an interstellar war if we can avoid it." As the Horizon drew closer to the Vrak's research vessel, Commander Drek grew increasingly concerned. The Earth ship had changed course suddenly, seeming to veer away, but something about the maneuver felt tactical rather than retreating. "They're hiding something," he told Lieutenant Moore. "Scan for anomalies in that sector." The Vraks were about to learn that humans weren't merely subjects to be studied. They were coming face to face with humanity's most powerful trait, the refusal to abandon their own, no matter the odds. The assault team from the Horizon moved with practiced precision through the alien vessel's service corridors. The Vrak's ship's interior was vast and strangely angular, with curved walls that shifted colors subtly as they passed. Kate led the team, her eyes fixed on the small device tracking Thomas's location. 2 levels down," she whispered. "The signal's strong." Lieutenant Diaz moved ahead, stunner ready. "No sign they've detected our entry. Either their security is lacking, or Or they're watching us, Commander Wei finished grimly. They encountered their first Vrax at an intersection of corridors, a startled technician whose scales flashed bright orange at the sight of the humans. Before the alien could react, Diaz fired her stunner. The Vrax collapsed in a heap of limbs. 4 eyes, scaled skin, approximately 2 meters tall, Dr. Foster noted, examining the unconscious alien. Fascinating physiology. Admire them later, Jack ordered. Move. In the research chamber, Thomas had noticed a subtle change in his captors' behavior. They seemed distracted, communications passing between them in their native language that his translator couldn't catch. When most of the researchers suddenly left the chamber, he felt a surge of hope. Till, the lead researcher, approached him. Your species continues to surprise us, Thomas Reed. How so? Thomas asked, trying to keep his expression neutral. A vessel from your planet has somehow reached our facility. Impossible, by our understanding of your technology. Thomas couldn't suppress a smile. You should have studied us more carefully. Till's head tilted. Perhaps. Your kind possesses a remarkable determination when motivated by emotional bonds. The approaching humans appear intent on retrieving you specifically. My wife, Thomas whispered. She found me. Yes. Your mate. This was unexpected. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Till's scales shifted to a deep blue. It seems your rescuers have been discovered. Commander Drek had ordered the facility locked down. Capture the human intruders, he commanded. Use non-lethal methods. They're now subjects of high scientific interest. What followed was chaos. The Vrax security forces, while technologically superior, had never faced humans in combat. They were unprepared for the improvisation, the desperate ferocity, the sheer stubborn refusal to surrender that characterized Earth's small rescue team. Kate's team fought their way through 3 security checkpoints, using Vrax technology against them. Wei had quickly deciphered the pattern of their security doors, while Diaz demonstrated an uncanny ability to anticipate Vrax tactical movements. They think too logically, she explained after outmaneuvering another patrol. No creativity. When they finally reached the research level, they encountered the heaviest resistance. Vrax security forces had established a blockade outside the chamber holding Thomas. We need a diversion, Jack said, assessing the situation. Kate pulled a small device from her pack. This should work. Cover your ears. The sonic disruptor she developed specifically for this mission emitted a frequency that sent the Vrax into disoriented confusion, their sensitive auditory systems overwhelmed. Inside the chamber, Till made a decision that would later be scrutinized by the Vrax High Command. Instead of reinforcing security, he deactivated Thomas's restraints. Why? Thomas asked, rubbing his wrists. I am a researcher, Till replied. This is valuable data on human behavior, and, he hesitated, I find your species' devotion to individual lives thought-provoking. When Kate burst through the chamber door, weapon raised, she found Thomas standing free. Their reunion was brief but intense, a tight embrace that confirmed what the Vrax had been studying. The power of human connection. How touching, Commander Drek said, entering the chamber with armed guards. But this incursion ends now. Your primitive vessel is surrounded, your escape cut off. Jack stepped forward. We're not leaving without my brother. You misunderstand, Drek replied. None of you are leaving. You've demonstrated capabilities that warrant extensive study. Dr. Foster, who had been quietly analyzing the Vrax technology in the chamber, caught Jack's eye and nodded subtly toward a control panel. Perhaps we should discuss this further, Jack suggested, moving casually to position himself between the Vrax commander and Foster. What happened next would be remembered in Vrax historical records as the first indication that humans were far more dangerous than anticipated. The horizon was indeed surrounded, but Captain Jack Reed had not committed his entire crew to the rescue mission. Lieutenant Commander Olivia Parker remained on board with orders that Jack had desperately hoped wouldn't be necessary. If we're not back in 3 hours, implement Protocol Omega, he had told her before departing. Those 3 hours had elapsed 5 minutes ago. On the bridge of the horizon, Parker activated the ship's experimental weapons system. Technology the Vrax couldn't possibly anticipate because Earth had developed it by reverse engineering fragments of a different alien vessel that had crashed decades earlier. "Target their propulsion systems only," she ordered. "Minimal casualties." Inside the research chamber, the standoff between humans and Vrax was interrupted by a violent shudder that ran through the entire facility. What was that? Drek demanded of his communications officer. "The Earth vessel. It's attacking." "How is this possible?" "Their weapons shouldn't." Another blast rocked the ship. Dr. Foster seized the moment of confusion, activating the control panel he'd been studying. The chamber's atmospheric controls shifted suddenly, introducing a gas mixture optimized for humans, but disorienting to Vrax physiology. "Now," Jack shouted. The rescue team moved with coordinated precision. Commander Wee deployed a portable shield generator they'd brought from Earth, creating a barrier between themselves and the Vrax guards. Lieutenant Dias secured the exit path, while Kate and Thomas followed close behind. Drek, fighting through the disorienting effects of the altered atmosphere, managed to activate the facility's emergency protocols. Containment fields began sealing off sections of the ship. "They're trying to trap us," Dias called out, studying her scanner. "The route back to our entry point is being cut off." "Secondary extraction point," Jack decided. "Shuttle bay, 2 levels up." As they fought their way through the massive research vessel, something unexpected occurred. Not all Vrax opposed them. Several research staff, led by Till, actively interfered with security responses. "Your species deserves further study," Till told Thomas as their paths crossed in a corridor. "But not like this. Not through force." The political implications of this internal division would reverberate through Vrax society for years to come. Outside the ship, the Horizon continued its surgical strikes, disabling the Vrax vessel's offensive capabilities while avoiding critical damage. Parker's restraint wasn't mere compassion. Earth needed intelligence on this advanced alien species, not a Pyrrhic victory. The rescue team reached the shuttle bay to find it in chaos. Vrax personnel were evacuating, believing their vessel was under full attack. Jack spotted an opportunity. "That transport," he pointed to a sleek Vrax shuttle. "Foster, can you fly it?" The xenobiologist grinned. "I've been studying their control interfaces. I think so." "Good. We're taking a souvenir home." Commander Drek arrived at the shuttle bay in time to witness the humans commandeering one of his transports. His security forces raised their weapons, but Drek hesitated. The humans had shown remarkable restraint, avoiding fatal force against his people despite their superior position. Was escalation wise? "Hold fire," he ordered finally. "Let them go." Lieutenant Moore stared at him in shock. "Commander, protocol requires." "These humans have demonstrated capabilities far beyond our intelligence reports." Drek interrupted. "We need to reassess. The Dominion must know what we're dealing with." As the stolen shuttle left the bay, Kate looked back at the massive Vrax vessel, now partially disabled. "Do you think they'll come after us?" "Not immediately," Jack replied. "But they know where Earth is. This isn't over." Thomas, still weak from his captivity, squeezed his wife's hand. "They underestimated us. All of us." The stolen shuttle rendezvoused with the Horizon, and the Earth vessel immediately activated its experimental drive, disappearing from Vrax sensors before reinforcements could arrive. In the aftermath, Commander Drek faced the Vrax High Command via subspace communication. Their questions were pointed, their concern evident. "This changes everything," the High Counselor stated. "If the humans possess this level of technology and determination, our entire assessment of their species requires revision." Drek agreed. They came across interstellar space for a single life. Their bonds to each other drive them to achievements our models can't predict. The High Counselor's expression darkened. "Then we must decide. Are they a threat to be contained, or a potential ally to be cultivated? Neither option acknowledged what was already becoming clear. Humanity would chart its own course in the galaxy, regardless of what the Vrax decided. The stolen Vrax shuttle proved to be Earth's most valuable acquisition yet. While Thomas recovered in medical, Dr. Foster and Kate led a team of engineers in examining the alien craft. Its propulsion system alone represented technology decades beyond Earth's capabilities, but the real prize was the ship's database. Their encryption is complex. Kate explained to General Harper 6 days after their return, but we're making progress. We've already extracted star charts covering a significant portion of the galaxy. Harper nodded, his expression grave. And what have you learned about these Vrax? They're part of something called the Vrax Dominion. 12 star systems under their control. They consider themselves benevolent overseers of less advanced species. Colonizers, Harper frowned. With us in their sights. Not exactly, Thomas interjected. He had insisted on attending despite medical objections. They're scientists first. They genuinely believe they're helping other species advance. By abducting people, Harper asked skeptically. They don't see individuals the way we do, Thomas explained. Their society values the collective over the single life. They couldn't understand why Earth would risk an interstellar incident over one person. Kate squeezed her husband's hand. That's their weakness. They fundamentally misunderstand what drives us. As Earth's military and scientific establishment debated next steps, the Vrax Dominion faced its own crisis. The High Council had convened an emergency session, with Commander Drek presenting his report on the human incursion. They bypassed our defenses, neutralized our security forces without fatalities, and escaped with both their original target and one of our shuttles, Drek concluded, all to retrieve a single specimen. High Counselor Vez, the most senior of the Vrax leadership, leaned forward. Your assessment of their capabilities. Their technological development is uneven but accelerating at an alarming rate. More concerning is their unpredictability. Our models failed to anticipate almost every aspect of their response. Till, unexpectedly invited to address the council due to his extensive interaction with Thomas Reed, added his perspective. The humans possess a quality we've not encountered before, a determination driven by emotional bonds that overrides logical risk assessment. A primitive characteristic, one counselor dismissed. With respect, Till countered, it proved remarkably effective against our advanced systems. The debate raged for days. Some counselors advocated immediate military action to contain the human threat before it expanded further into space. Others argued for diplomatic engagement, recognizing potential benefits in alliance with such a resourceful species. The deciding factor came when Vrax intelligence intercepted communications indicating Earth was already replicating technology from the stolen shuttle. The speed of human adaptation shocked even those who had argued for cautious respect. We have underestimated them at every turn. Vez finally concluded, we will send an envoy, not to intimidate, but to negotiate. Back on Earth, Thomas had returned to teaching, though his students now included military personnel eager to learn about Vrax society. His experience had changed him. He carried himself differently, with the quiet confidence of someone who had faced the unknown and returned. They're coming back, he told Kate one evening as they walked along the beach near their home, far from the secure facilities where she continued to work on Vrax technology. She looked up sharply. You can't know that. I know how they think now. They're methodical. They'll have analyzed everything about our encounter and reached the only logical conclusion. Better to talk than fight. Kate wasn't so optimistic. We took one of their ships, Tom. We humiliated them. That matters less to them than you'd think. They value knowledge above pride. And they want to understand us now. Really understand us. 3 months after Thomas's rescue, Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Network detected multiple large vessels entering the solar system. Unlike the stealthy approach of the research vessel that had taken Thomas, these came openly, broadcasting a simple message in perfect English. People of Earth, we are the Vrax Dominion. We come seeking dialogue. What followed would reshape humanity's place in the galaxy. The Vrax had expected to find a primitive species worthy of study and eventual guidance. Instead, they had encountered a civilization whose determination and resourcefulness demanded respect. As Thomas watched the news of first official contact, he felt an unexpected sense of pride. Humanity had been noticed by the wider galaxy, not through grand achievements or military might, but through its most fundamental quality: the unwillingness to abandon one of its own. The Vrax delegation arrived with considerable ceremony, landing in a designated neutral zone, a newly constructed facility in Geneva. They emerged from their craft to face representatives from Earth's Unified Response Team. Thomas and Kate Reed were present, despite considerable debate about their involvement. They asked for you specifically, General Harper had explained. Apparently, you made quite an impression. High Envoy Vez, leader of the Vrax delegation, approached Thomas with a formal bow. Teacher Thomas Reed, your experience has informed much of our new understanding. Thomas returned the gesture. High Envoy, I hope that understanding includes respecting boundaries. Indeed, the taking of life forms without consent is now recognized as a grievous error when dealing with sentient species. The diplomatic talks that followed revealed much about both civilizations. The Vrax, for all their technological advancement, had evolved in a highly structured society that valued order and collective progress above individual rights. This had allowed them to build their dominion without the social upheavals that characterized human history, but it had also created blind spots in their understanding of other species. Behind the scenes, other galactic powers watched with great interest. The Vrax Dominion had long been the dominant force in this sector of the galaxy, their scientific and technological superiority unchallenged. Now, a species previously deemed primitive had forced them to the negotiating table as equals. You should understand, Vez explained during a private session with Earth's core diplomatic team, that your response to our research expedition has attracted attention beyond the Dominion. Other aliens? Kate asked sharply. Indeed. The Driel Confederation and the Mact Alliance have both requested information about your species. They are competitors of the Dominion. General Harper leaned forward. Are you suggesting we're now players in some galactic political game? I am stating it explicitly, Vez replied. Your demonstration of technological capability, combined with your unusual social characteristics, makes humanity a potential asset that many would seek to align with. This revelation transformed the negotiations. Earth's representatives, initially focused on preventing future abductions and gaining technological exchange, now recognized a broader opportunity. Humanity could leverage its sudden prominence to secure not just protection from the Vrax, but advantageous position among multiple galactic powers. Thomas, watching the political maneuvering, felt both pride and concern. They're underestimating us again, he told Kate one evening, just in a different way. How so? They think we're like them, that we'll play their political games according to their rules. They still don't understand what makes humans different. As the negotiations progressed, Earth revealed some of its advances since the rescue mission, advances that shocked the Vrax delegation. Using principles derived from the stolen shuttle, Earth had developed prototype ships with capabilities approaching Vrax standards. Impossible, a Vrax technical advisor whispered when shown the specifications. Such advancement should take decades. We're motivated, Kate replied simply. What the Vrax couldn't fully grasp was how humanity's fractious, competitive nature, so inefficient by their standards, created an environment where innovation flourished under pressure. Different nations, corporations, and research teams had worked on separate aspects of the alien technology, competing and collaborating in ways the hierarchical Vrax society couldn't replicate. The negotiations culminated in an unprecedented agreement. The Vrax would share specific technologies with Earth, primarily medical and environmental, in exchange for human cultural and educational exchange. More importantly, Earth would be recognized as sovereign territory. off-limits to experimentation or interference. As the Vrax delegation prepared to depart, Till, now serving as cultural attaché, approached Thomas one final time. "Your captivity served as the catalyst for a fundamental shift in galactic politics," the alien observed. "One life, affecting billions across multiple worlds. That's the thing you never understood about us," Thomas replied. "Every human life contains that potential. That's why we value each one so highly." Till's scales rippled in the pattern Thomas had come to recognize as thoughtful consideration. The Dominion has existed for 9,000 years without facing a challenge like humanity. Some find this concerning. And you? I find it necessary. Systems without challenge become stagnant. As the Vrax ships departed Earth orbit, news arrived that representatives from the Dreel Confederation were requesting permission to send their own diplomatic mission. Humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage was accelerating beyond anyone's expectations. In a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, engineers continued reverse engineering Vrax technology, while new defense systems were deployed throughout the solar system. Earth was taking no chances with its newfound prominence. Thomas returned to teaching, now heading a specialized program for students showing promise in xenolinguistics and cultural studies. The first class included representatives from 23 countries, all preparing for a future where humanity would engage with multiple alien civilizations. "They took one life from Earth," he told his students on the first day, "and in doing so, they changed the destiny of our entire species. Remember that when you represent humanity among the stars, every interaction matters. Every life matters." 5 years after first contact with the Vrax, Earth had been transformed. Cities glittered with new technologies. Medical advances had conquered dozens of previously fatal diseases. Environmental restoration projects had begun reversing centuries of damage. And the first human-built interstellar vessels regularly traveled to nearby star systems. Thomas Reed stood at the viewport of the diplomatic vessel Unity, watching as they approached the massive space station where the first galactic Concord would be signed. Kate stood beside him, now Earth's lead technical advisor for extraterrestrial relations. "Nervous?" she asked, taking his hand. "Terrified," he admitted with a smile. 5 years ago, I was teaching high school science. Now I'm witnessing humanity join a galactic community." The Unity docked alongside vessels from 11 other species. The Vrax Dominion and the Dreel Confederation had special observer status, but neither would dominate the proceedings. This new alliance represented a fundamental shift in galactic politics, smaller powers uniting to balance the influence of established empires. "The humans have changed everything," High Counselor Vez remarked to Till as they watched from the Vrax diplomatic vessel. "Their insistence on individual rights alongside collective responsibilities has resonated with species we thought firmly under our influence." Till, now a senior diplomat, nodded. "They value connection over control. Many find this appealing." "And dangerous," Vez added. "The old order is fracturing." Inside the station's Grand Assembly Hall, representatives from across the galaxy gathered. Some were humanoid, others utterly alien in form, but all had come because of the ripples created when one small planet had demonstrated the lengths it would go to for a single life. General Harper, now Ambassador Harper, led Earth's delegation. At his insistence, Thomas had been included, a living reminder of how this all began. "The Galactic Concord," Harper announced to the Assembly, "represents our shared commitment to respect, autonomy, and cooperation. No species, regardless of technological advancement, may claim inherent authority over another." As the various delegates formally endorsed the Concord, Thomas reflected on the improbable journey that had brought humanity to this moment. The Vrax had intended a routine specimen collection. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant whose values now challenged millennia of galactic orthodoxy. The signing ceremony complete, delegates mingled in the reception that followed. Thomas found himself approached by a Dreel diplomat, a being with crystalline features that caught and refracted light in hypnotic patterns. "Teacher Reed," The drill addressed him, its translator converting musical tones to English. Your experience has become legend among my people, the human who defied the Dominion. Thomas smiled modestly. I didn't defy anyone. My wife and brother did that. I was just trying to survive. Precisely. Your individual struggle, and your people's response to it, demonstrated a truth many of us have forgotten, that greatness flows from valuing each life, not just the collective. Across the reception hall, Kate was engaged in animated discussion with representatives from 3 different species, each interested in technological exchange with Earth. Humanity's unusual development path, rapid advancement in some areas while lagging in others, had created unique innovations that even older civilizations found valuable. As the celebrations continued, news arrived that sent ripples of concern through the gathering. A Vrax research outpost near the border of Driel space had been attacked by unknown forces. Early reports suggested the attackers had used technology similar to Earth's experimental defense systems. Ambassador Harper immediately called an emergency meeting of Earth's delegation. This has all the hallmarks of a false flag operation, he stated grimly. Someone wants to drive a wedge between humanity and the Vrax, just as this concord is being formed. Who would benefit? Thomas asked. There are factions within every major power that oppose this new arrangement, Kate explained. The old empires lose influence, the military contractors lose business, traditionalists lose cultural dominance. We need to get ahead of this, Harper decided. Thomas, you still have a unique relationship with the Vrax leadership. We need you to speak with them directly. The meeting with High Counselor Vez was tense but productive. 5 years earlier, such an accusation might have led to diplomatic rupture or worse. Now, with the foundation of trust established through Thomas's case, both sides committed to a joint investigation. What they uncovered revealed the true complexity of galactic politics. The attack had been orchestrated by a coalition of interests from multiple species, including rogue elements from both Earth and the Vrax Dominion, all united by opposition to the changing order. The crisis, rather than undermining the concord, ultimately strengthened it. The swift, cooperative response demonstrated the value of the new alliance in addressing common threats. On the final evening of the conference, Thomas found himself again at the viewport, gazing out at the stars that no longer seemed quite so distant or mysterious. Penny for your thoughts, Kate said, joining him. I was thinking about the price of a life, he replied. They took me because they thought one human wouldn't matter. They couldn't understand that by taking just one of us, they were taking a piece of all of us. And now they understand. The entire galaxy understands. Humanity won't abandon its own, no matter the distance, no matter the odds. He turned to face her, smiling. It's our greatest strength and our greatest warning. As the Unity departed the station the next day, carrying Earth's delegation home, news arrived that 3 more species had requested to join the Concord. The ripples continued to spread, transforming the galactic landscape in ways no one could have predicted, all because humanity had demonstrated what it meant to value every life. Thomas Reed returned to his teaching position, declining offers of prestigious diplomatic posts. His experience had taught him that the future of humanity among the stars would depend not on political maneuvering, but on understanding, both of ourselves and others. They took a life from Earth, became a phrase taught in history classes across the planet, and paid the galactic price. The price wasn't measured in destruction or domination, but in transformation, the end of one era of galactic history and the beginning of another, where the value of a single life could never again be dismissed as insignificant.